Hello, good Evan, and wow. First off, we are now June the 20th, roughly about 4 p.m. So some of you, it will have already happened, depending on which time zone you're in. Some of you it's still to come in a few hours, but may I wish you all a wonderful summer solstice, which actually connects with the letter N. If you take the start of the year as being the spring equinox, the pattern of the sun does that sine wave. It rises, then it falls, and of course it's continuously moving to the right from observation, and then plummets right down from its highest point with that letter N in the capital letter symbol, and then it plummets to its lowest level, and then which will be the winter solstice, and then it rises again, and we're back to the spring equinox, as it were. Hence you have a word like enlightenment. So the E is energy, and then you've got the sine wave, and then light, and then meant obviously for the mind. I feel it might be a very good idea. I don't really know much about what is going on in the outside world. I see little headlines and things which I normally just scroll by. It's like I don't want to get sucked into it. Whatever's going on doesn't affect here. As we go through something of a heat wave, to be honest. It's reading about 36 degrees in the kitchen, and as soon as you step outside, bearing in mind that has a corrugated metal roof, so it feels like an oven, but when you step outside it's even warmer. I've only within the last 20 minutes I've had a beautiful shower, but my hair is almost dry. After the shopping expedition last Friday, I had a shower. When I came back, my hair then dried with the heat, and then the end of it got wet again just from sweat because of the heat, but got an abundant supply of warm water, which is solar heated, which is beautiful. So not going to complain about the heat, we just adjust, and when it's as warm as this, do very little. Yeah, so with what's going on in the outside world, now might be an idea to have a personal tarot card reading. So that is on offer. I don't do really much in the way of general tarot card readings because they are so general. But a one-to-one, I feel, is more relevant, and it may be an idea, just a thought, just a feeling, which is the thing to always go with. So the door is open. Anybody who does want tarot card readings, it's just for a nominal donation of €5 or $5. Don't know what happened to the screen there. It's gone a bit darker for some reason, but anyway. So on to the next thing I wish to talk about, which I mentioned in the last video. Why I would suggest that we stop using what is called the Anno Domini calendar and use only the Annus Mundi. It's very easy to calculate, so if you want to take the dates of the Second World War, it's actually the years 5833 to 5839. Basically what you do, you take 39 centuries of the BC calendar, because it starts in 3895, but there is no year zero, so it's 3894, but just round it up to 39 and then add the Anno Domini, so 39, and then add 20 gives you 59, and then, well, we're in the year 2025, but then less 6 years, so 25 becomes 19. So we are definitely in the year 5919. If you want to know more about this, then I suggest you refresh yourself or take a look at what Archaic's channel shows. But the reason I'm saying stop using the Anno Domini calendar, I apologise for the sort of camera shake there, is because when we look at etymology, the A and the D are highly significant. Now, it may be said as AD, but if you look at words in the English language, for example, the word church ends in CH, but so does lock, as in the Scottish locks. Completely different sound. So it's not that the sounds don't exist, it just depends on what language, but the sounds are formed from the characters C and H, or H is probably more correct. So AD can be pronounced as add. So now look at words that have a double D, because it's like two doors. The D is a door. So you have words like addiction, addition with double D. But you also have things like adversary, adverb. Trying to think of some more examples with only one D, but still pronounced as add. We step into the role of an adversary every time we cast a spell by using the Anno Domini calendar, because it is there to mislead, to hide a pattern, to hide a cycle. So knowing the power of words, this is why I'm not using the AD calendar, because I'm not going to add to the story. It's interesting as well, I've not managed to get a photograph of it, but I've seen a couple of these micro cars with it's like a registration plate in place of a registration plate. It seems to be some sort of dealership advert, but would you believe it's AIXAM? And I thought, oh, that's interesting. So on the one side you have the AI, the X being unknown phenomenon, and on the other side you have the AM, which is am, to which you can put the I with, as in I am. Obviously, intent plays a big part with these character spells that we cast when we say these words as well. But if you think about referring back to the previous video, I spoke about the English language being a very recent invention, and part of the clue to that is words associated with the material realm structuring of it. So you have secretaries, you have dictionaries, seminaries, militaries, mercenaries. If you listen very carefully, and probably the biggest clue of all is with the legal process, you have judiciaries. They all end with the same word, which happens to be Aries. From that, I feel you can see that the English language certainly doesn't date back beyond 713 BC in the old calendar. But it's more recent than that, but it follows this solar cult that is sort of running the show, as it were. But you just need to flip the IE, which is for example. So you arise, just like the sun, just like that letter N. You rise again. And if you look at events in your life, you may start to see patterns with things. Consider the intervals. Let's start with a natural interval, so up to the age of 7, because 7 is an important number in cycles. That's when you get your adult teeth. The next 7, it takes you to 14, which is roughly associated with puberty, and then 21 is known as the coming of age. then it sort of stops there as far as spiritual growth goes. But you'll find there are other patterns. If you look at your life, consider maybe intervals of when you may have flown on a plane somewhere, or I don't know, a train journey or something. Just look at your life and you'll find that you'll probably have not only 7-year patterns, you'll have 3.5-year patterns, and there may be other ones as well. All part of your personal journey, all part of the decoding of things. But yeah, we are in the year 5919, which is taking that 39 and then adding 20, which gives you the 59, and then add 25 less 6, which gives you 5919. So we've got just on about 10 more years of this 365-day calendar before things really change, and a repeat cycle will play out with what is called the Phoenix event. Now that is nothing to be fearful of, but it is certainly something to be aware of, that this reality is cyclical. And I invite you to check out Archaic's channel to find out more about that. But I'm just giving a very brief overview about really why we don't want to step into that role of being an Add-Verse-Aries and adding verse, perpetuating this totally misleading calendar that is based on a fiction, which is just basically collectively held together. But it doesn't need to be. Certainly my way my day operates and things is not subject to the clock. It is more subject to the natural cycles of things. So I didn't want to make this too long a video. As much as anything else, it was really just to wish you all a beautiful summer solstice, and how the time has flown since the start of the year, which I take to be the spring equinox. That's a quarter of the way through already. But again, time is just a perception. Time can seem to drag. Time can seem to go very fast. It just depends on your perception of it and how you interact with it. So yeah, we'll leave that there. I don't want to make this too long, but as always, unconditional love to you all. Do check out the description box. It'll give you the information if you do feel inclined to wanting a personal tarot card reading or help in any other way. You may be finding life a little bit of a struggle at the moment. It's just perception. How can I challenge you to ask me, or to come to me, and then let's see if I can find a positive perspective to something you may see as things being very negative. Things may seem hopeless. Things may seem that there's little point, as it were. But what if I can unlock it for you and give you a new perspective that will be a real game changer, which will totally change the way you feel inside yourself, and then the interaction you have with this outside world will change. I spoke about this on previous videos. When you change how you feel inside yourself, it readily has an effect in the most strange ways. You'll encounter a new subset of people that are on a more conducive frequency, for example. I'm saying this from experience of going through this more than once, and each time it gets better and better. So I'd love to be able to help you find that for yourself. So if you are struggling in any way, the door is always open. The details in the description box, how to get in contact with me. So I think we'll end there and say unconditional love to you all, and Wishing you all a wonderful summer solstice.